Every morning, long before the sun even thought about rising, the lights of an old, forgotten boxing gym would flicker to life. The paint on the walls was cracked and peeling, a mosaic of years gone by. The heavy bags were scarred and worn, their leather softened by countless punches. The ropes of the ring had been stitched together more times than anyone could count. But to the people who trained there, this wasn't just a gym. It was sacred ground, and at the very heart of it all stood Coach Eli Turner. Coach Eli wasn't famous. You wouldn't find his name in the history books or see championship belts hanging on his walls. There were no viral videos of his training methods circulating online. His nose was a crooked reminder of a fight from decades ago, and his hands carried scars that told stories he rarely shared. Yet, every single student in that gym respected him more than any world champion. For Eli, boxing was never just about throwing punches. It was about what happened between the punches. One sweltering afternoon, a new boy walked into the gym. His name was Marcus. He was thin, carrying a quiet anger that seemed too heavy for his small frame. He wrapped his hands too tight, the fabric digging into his skin. He hit the bag too hard, with a fury that had nothing to do with technique, and he refused to look anyone in the eye, his gaze fixed firmly on the floor. Most trainers would have pushed him harder, yelled at him to toughen up, to channel that anger into something fierce. But Eli wasn't most trainers. He watched Marcus for a long moment, then walked over and said softly, "You're not punching the bag. You're fighting something else." Marcus froze. The relentless rhythm of his punches stopped. For the first time, he looked up, and his eyes met Eli's. In the weeks that followed, Eli trained Marcus in a way no one else would have. He didn't start with power or speed. He started with the basics: balance, footwork, breathing, discipline. It was about building a foundation, not just a fighter. When Marcus would lose his temper in the ring, his form getting sloppy and his frustration boiling over, Eli would immediately stop the session. "Boxing," Eli would say in his calm, steady voice, "is about learning how to stay calm when everything inside you wants to explode. Control your breath. You control the fight." Eli's most important lessons weren't delivered during drills, but in the quiet moments between rounds. He taught his students about the importance of showing up on time, not for him, but for themselves. He taught them how to respect their opponents, even in defeat. He taught them how to lose with grace, how to get up after being knocked down without letting their spirit break. "The ring," he often said, his eyes sweeping across the gym, "shows you who you really are when nobody's cheering for you. It reveals your character when you're tired, hurt, and alone." What most people didn't know was that years earlier, Eli himself had been a promising young boxer. He had the fast hands, the strong chin, the big dreams. He was on a path to greatness. But one bad decision outside the ring, a stupid argument that escalated into a street fight, ended his career in an instant. The dream was shattered. Instead of letting that failure consume him, instead of letting bitterness take root, he chose a different path. He became a teacher. Not just a trainer who taught jabs and hooks, but a teacher who taught life. The night of Marcus's first amateur fight arrived. The air in the hall was thick with anticipation. The lights were harsh. The crowd was loud and unforgiving. In the first round, Marcus got hit hard. A clean shot sent him stumbling back against the ropes. Panic flashed across his face. He was hurt, disoriented. His eyes desperately searched for the corner. For Eli. Eli didn't shout instructions. He didn't panic. He simply locked eyes with Marcus and offered a small, reassuring smile. "Breathe," he said, his voice cutting through the noise. "Just breathe. You're still standing. That's all that matters right now." Something shifted in Marcus. He took a deep breath. The panic subsided, and he stepped back into the center of the ring. It was calmer, smarter. He used his footwork, just as Eli had taught him. He moved. He breathed. He survived. He didn't win by a dramatic knockout. He won by decision, a testament to his endurance and discipline. When the referee raised his hand, Marcus didn't celebrate wildly. He walked straight to his corner and hugged Eli, burying his face in his coach's shoulder. "I didn't quit," Marcus whispered, his voice thick with emotion. Eli nodded, patting him on the back. "That's the real victory," he replied. "Just spaced. Students came and went, each leaving a piece of themselves on the worn canvas of the ring. Some went on to become professional fighters, but most became something else entirely. They became police officers, teachers, mechanics, and parents. Many never put on a pair of boxing gloves again, but every single one of them carried Eli's lessons with them, like a shield against the world. One evening, Marcus returned to the gym. He was older now, wearing a tailored suit instead of hand wraps and shorts. He had become a youth counselor, helping kids who were just as lost and angry as he had once been. He looked around the gym, a place that seemed untouched by time, still humming with the same raw energy. He walked over to Eli, who was watching a new generation of students. "You saved me, Coach," Marcus said, his voice filled with a gratitude that years hadn't diminished. Eli just shook his head, a gentle smile on his face. "No, son, I just showed you how to save yourself." When Coach Eli finally decided to retire, the gym held a small ceremony. There were no cameras, no news reporters, no trophies. It was just people, the men and women whose lives had been shaped by his quiet, unwavering strength.